Fish is actually one of my favorite dishes to recommend to my patients because it's really heart healthy. It helps with our cognition and our brain. It can help our joints, and it even helps our mood. The American Heart Association actually recommends 2 servings of fish every week to help maintain a healthy heart. So a lot of people are actually really intimidated to cook fish, and I was definitely one of those people. I grew up in Iowa, and every summer we would come up to Minnesota and we'd fish in the lakes, and then we'd have a huge fish fry, which is a really, really delicious way to eat fish, but it's really not very healthy at all. Okay, so I'd really like to introduce more and healthier ways to prepare fish other than just deep fat frying. So what I have here is a plate of trout. This is a trout fillet. We have a lot of trout in Minnesota. We're very lucky to live so close to so many lakes and streams that have a lot of healthy fish. Now, the first thing you need to know about picking a fillet of fish is that you want to minimize any toxins, okay? So mercury is probably the most common one that we see, and that's why we recommend not eating fish every day, okay? It just has to be 1 or 2 times per week. Also, we want to have fish that are high in omega-3 fatty acids. This is the most important heart-healthy component in fish. And the reason that some fish have high omega-3 fatty acids and others don't is that you can kind of look at this fillet and you can see this layer of fat right underneath here. Okay, this is where all the omega-3s come into play. So fish that have a high omega-3 content are oily fish that live in cold water. And it's that cold water that helps them build up this protective layer of insulation, and that's where all the health benefits are. Okay, so not all fish, unfortunately, has a high omega-3 content. So you really need to stick to things like salmon, tuna, sardines. These are the most common ones. However, Lake Superior, which is pretty much in our backyard living in Minnesota, because it is a cold weather lake, it actually also has a high content of fish with high omega-3s, which is wonderful. So trout, herring, chub, whitefish, all of those have the same benefits of omega-3s that a piece of salmon would be. And not everybody likes salmon because it's a real strong fishy taste, and that's why I like to do trout sometimes, because it brings down that fishy taste a little bit, but yet still has the same nutritional profile as a piece of salmon. All right, so let's go ahead and start. Now, this is not hard to do at all, okay? This is probably one of the easiest dishes that you can prepare. And I always like to say it does not take a brain surgeon to do this, and I work with a lot of brain surgeons. All you have to do is take your fish and take a paring knife and make some slits. Nothing fancy, it does not have to be in any order. And this is just allowing a little bit of space to occur so that when you start putting on your marinade, it just soaks into the fish a little bit more. All right, if you've ever touched raw fish, as with any other raw meat, it's important to wash your hands. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, once you've made your slits, you can actually marinate fish the night before or for a couple hours. That's perfectly fine, but if you're busy, you're just getting home from work, it's perfectly fine not to marinate. It'll also taste just as fine. All right, so I'm going to pour just a little bit of olive oil. A lot of restaurants use butter on their fish, which tastes good, don't get me wrong, but olive oil is so much healthier than butter, and it tastes just as good. All right, if you don't like touching the fish with your hands, I don't mind, but if you don't like touching it, you can just use a brush of some type to get that olive oil on. Just get a real nice coating. And I should also mention that this olive oil also is the good kind of fat. So a lot of people are scared of fat, which is too bad because it has a lot of good health benefits for it. Like I talked about before, the heart, the brain, joints, and even our mood. It's really important. Plus it also helps us feel full. So olive oil is also the good kind of fat. So it's really important to get used to cooking in olive oil. And when we deep fat fry fish, it's usually in some type of vegetable oil, which is not healthy at all. So this is a much better, healthier cooking oil to use. After you've done the olive oil, you can just do just a little bit of pepper, just as much as you like. Everyone's different. And then just a little bit of salt. Again, some people like a little bit more, some people like a little less. And then to top it off, and this is kind of the secret ingredient, is a lemon. I really like to use a fresh lemon, if at all possible, but if you have lemon juice in a can, that's fine too. All right, and then all you have to do is just squeeze that lemon over top. There are special kitchen instruments that allow you to do this, but I just like to use my hands. I think it's easier. Okay, now you do have to watch out because there can be some seeds. And if you see those, just pick them out. You can also do the lemon through a strainer. That's a way to catch the seeds, but again, I like to keep things simple. Okay, that's it. That did not take long. This is not hard, this is not challenging. It's really just the piece of fish, a base of olive oil, salt, pepper, lemon, you're done. Okay, now if you want to get fancy, you can throw some herbs on there. That's perfectly fine. Some people like to use some different marinades, also perfectly fine. But if you don't have a lot of time, this is a really, really easy way to prepare fish. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get this in my pan. And I've preheated the oven to about 400 degrees. All right, here is the other thing I really love about fish, is that it cooks really quickly. It's only about, depending on your fillet and how big it is and how many you have, it's roughly about 10 to 15 minutes, which is not a lot of time at all. It's very fast, very easy dinner to prepare. And it's also really high in protein as well as low in calories, which is great. Okay, all right, and then we just stick it in the oven. Doesn't need to be covered. Some people like to use foil. It can make clean up a little bit easier. That's perfectly fine. Again, just to keep things simple, I just put it right in the oven. And now we need to wait about 10 to 12 minutes. While we're waiting, I do want to talk about what I like to pair with fish. Okay, this is a really flavorful, refreshing mango and avocado salsa. What I love about this is I actually made this the night before. And it wasn't anything complicated. I just chopped up peaches and mangoes, avocados, onion, garlic, put in a little bit of apple cider vinegar, salt, pepper, and I'm done. And a little bit of lemon juice as well. I forgot about that. And what I like to do with salsas is actually refrigerate them the night before, because then it really, really helps that flavor come out. It's much brighter, more fresh taste, and those flavors just really start to meld together. So you can make it the night before, or you can make it in the morning and then serve it tonight, whatever way is easiest. It's also nice if you're coming home from work, if you've made it the night before, then it's really easy to just throw this dinner together. I like it for when company comes over because it's an impressive dish, but it really didn't take a whole lot of time. All right, so we'll check and see if our fish is done. I think this is, again, what scares people is they're like, oh no, is this fish gonna be undercooked? But there's a really easy way that you can use to figure this out. Just take a fork or some utensil, and I just want you to scrape the fish. And if it comes off really easy, like how it's flaking right here, then you know it's done. Okay? If you really want to, you can also check the internal temperature of it as well. But this is also a good measure. And it's done. It's really good. Okay, so now we will plate this. Now, trout in particular has the skin on the underside, if you can get a shot of that there. So when you eat it, just peel the meat off of that because you don't want to eat the skin. And then if you want, just another refreshing squirt of lemon juice, brightens up that flavor. And then we'll add our salsa. And some people like it right on top like I do, or you can put it off to the side. Now, if you don't have time, if you're running really short of time, you don't have any extra ingredients, you can also just buy the salsa at the grocery store. I would recommend a more fruit-forward salsa, something with a lot of citrus flavors like mango and pineapple, peach. That will really bring out the flavor of the fish well. And there you go. That is a wonderful dish that did not take long to prepare at all. It's impressive looking if you're having company or if you just really want a nice, healthy, nutritious meal for yourself.